Okay, we're back. We're back. I think it worked this time. Okay. Sorry about that. The microphone was just being weird again. Um, don't know why it did that, but it happens. Just gonna make sure this is working properly. Gotta do my Yep. Gotta do my test, and there we go. All right, we're good. All right. Let me just make a post that we are live. Let me get that. Hello, welcome to the stream. Let me get that. I am so bad. I'm sorry. Hello, welcome. Whoa, that was a cool sound. I was on Twitter and the thing made a cool like spacey noise. Anyway, hi. Yeah, so welcome to the stream. In this stream, I'm going to be reading some of my poems and doing my own analysis of my poems, just kind of describing what they mean to me. If you were here like a week ago, I made a video of each of these poems. I put them all in one video, but I read each of these poems. I didn't do an analysis or anything. That's why I'm doing this today. Just to kind of give you a deeper insight into what they mean to me, at least, and why I wrote them and that sort of thing. So, yeah. And I'm prepared today. I have water. So that's good. Yesterday I started the stream and I didn't have water and I'm just like, no. So I had to leave like immediately to get water because it was going to be a long stream. But yes, welcome. Hope you're all doing well. Don't know what time it is for y'all, but it's about mid-afternoon to early evening here. But yeah, if I haven't said this already, please check the description. I have trigger warnings there for the poems, and just want to make sure that y'all stay safe. So please do not watch this video if any of those things may trigger you. Yeah, just check those out before you decide to stay. Anyway, without further ado, let's get started. Hello. Pretty good. I got some more work around the house done. So I've been doing some projects, things like that. Yeah. My abode is becoming more beautiful, we'll say. I don't know. So without any more stalling, sorry if you can hear the clicking. I'm going back and forth between tabs. The first poem is called Dead Girl, and I'm going to be doing a reading of each poem again, even though I've read them in a video before. I'm going to read each poem and then do my analysis. And I broke it down by stanza, so I'll read it once and then I'll go through each stanza and read the comments that I wrote for them, whatever. Anyway, So the first one's called Dead Girl. The trigger warning for this one is that there's a brief description of suicide. Okay, so without further ado, here is Dead Girl. Why does your friend become a body once she is buried in the ground? Why is her vibrance lost solely because she can no longer smile? Her matter is the same, both in physicality and worth. So why is she less than now that she's beneath the earth? Tighten ropes around her wrists, knees, and ankles. Make her dance the night away. That's what you want, isn't it? She tightened the rope around her neck and stepped off the stool. All those who watched would say she danced the night away. If her decomposing corpse dug her way through the dirt and crawled her way into your bed, would you hold her or would you scream? And that's the first poem. Um, so the way I formatted this, I have it in a little doc thing, like a Google Doc, and I made little comments under each stanza about just like what each stanza means. So the first one, why does your friend become a body once she's buried in the ground? Why is her vibrance lost solely because she can no longer smile? So now that she's dead, uh, she's no longer referred to as a bright human being. She's seen as a body, which takes away value and respect from somebody. She's not seen as a whole human being anymore. She's just seen as like her physical form. Um, and now that she's gone, she can't smile anymore. She can't put up a facade of happiness. So people view her in a duller light than they did when she was alive. Her matter is the same both in physicality and worth. So why is she less than now that she's beneath the earth? So matter is a double meaning. Matter in the sense that uh, like how much she matters as a person, and uh, matter as in her physical makeup. So that's the double meaning. Her matter is the same. So why is she less than now that she's beneath the earth? She's viewed as less important to society now that she's dead. Tighten ropes around her wrists, knees, and ankles, make her dance the night away. That's what you want, isn't it? So I used you specifically, like the word you, um, to mean like a member of society, like you as a member of society, not you specifically, but general you, uh, want to control her actions. Um, you want her to be this perfect view of, femininity and grace and beauty and whatever else. Um, and then make her dance the night away. Um, that part is seen kind of as like you want to see her like as an object, um, like someone at like a club or something like that. It's like that's what you think she's good for. Again, general you as like a misogynistic you. Um, she tightened the rope around her neck and stepped off the stool. All those who watched would say she danced the night away. Um, so obviously, this is a reference to suicide. Um, I specifically said all those who watched, which meant that nobody did anything to help. They were all at that same club or wherever she was, watching her put up this facade. Um, and she was really hurting inside while she was doing this, but everyone viewed it in a positive light because they were viewing it through their own, um, oh, what's the word? Egocentric view. They're like, well, she's doing something good for me, so she's fine. But she was hurting herself in that. Then the last one, if her decomposing corpse dug her way through the dirt and crawled her way into your bed, would you hold her or would you scream? Has she lost importance now that she's no longer alive? Um, she ended her life for a reason. So would you comfort her for the things that she couldn't control? Or would you scream out of fear that she's approaching you for how you viewed her, that she's confronting you? Um, so that's that poem. Uh, I guess, do you guys have any thoughts? That's my interpretation slash analysis of my own writing, which is weird. But yeah, the imagery in that stanza is so good. Thank you. I also wanted to use a lot of alliteration, decomposing, dug her way through the dirt. Dirt. um, but yeah, that's that first poem. Um, sorry, I need to silence this. Go away. Go away. All right. Okay. So, I guess if there's no comments, then we can move on to the next poem. And if you do have comments and just haven't finished typing them, then I'll read them when I get the chance. But the next one is called The Nomad. In the brilliantly bright light of day, when the birds sing and the children play, there lurks a figure dressed in midnight, the dark a stark contrast to the light. You barely notice him at first, but once you do, you fear the worst. Close the blinds and run to the door. You know you've been here before. Hold the lock like it's glue until your fingers turn blue. Bated breaths and quiet counts. Count to 3, then pounce. 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, go. But you keep still, still not letting go. Waiting, wishing, wanting him to leave. A knock on the door makes you heave. He's been called the nomad, wandering the world in search of what he had. Tantalizing, terrorizing, taunting, his sudden appearance haunting. Unlock your door for the nomad, a terrifying, unlikely comrade. He wishes not to kill, but to remove his heart's chill. What if there's more, you say? Let one in and the rest will pray. But is that really true? Or will they thank you? You lock the door to keep away the men, but once they're in, you lock the door again. Tell me, how do you expect them to flee if they have no way out, no key? Unlock your door for the nomad. You won't feel happy nor sad. With him, you'll feel at peace, and your worry will release. He'll grab a cup of tea and sip it slowly. His lips will turn up into a smile, and he'll be gone for a while. Some days go by, you almost forget, until the knock returns and you start to sweat. Once you open the door, you notice he's different than before. He's cloaked in gray, standing in the doorway. With a narrowing eye, you invite him in, but quickly realizing he looks thin. You offer him milk and bread, saying nothing till he's fed. Then quietly, you say, "Why won't you all go away?" His eyes lower to the floor, then turn towards the door. He's slow to speak, but soon the words from his lips leak. I've seen the changes of time reflected in your rhyme. I've seen your smile fade and the fear I've made. I've seen the monsters under your bed, heard the horrid words they've said. I've seen the midnight clad lad whom many called the nomad. But you see, my friend, there is no end. The nomad always comes back in a different shade of black. He seeks not to hurt or harm, nor to scare or alarm. He wants a place to stay where he won't be cast away. So take big breaths, invite him in. Bravery will always win. He won't stay long, of this I'm sure. Your fear was part of the allure. Those afraid have something to lose. It becomes clear who the nomad will choose. A promise of hospitality versus a slap of reality. The fearless knew the game before the nomad came. They know how much to give, so they themselves can still live. A finite limit to its greed, they give only what it needs, and gently guide it out the door, allowing them both to feel once more. It's okay to be afraid, mistakes will be made, but don't let fear guide or force you to hide. Keep your head held high up towards the sky. Soon you'll be glad you unlocked your door for the nomad. So that's the nomad. I liked when you compared a live person who was a person and a dead person who's only a corpse, and it made me think that statues are similar to dead people, were respected earlier but now forgotten. Yeah, yeah, I hadn't thought of it like the statues thing, but that's actually really cool. Your fear is part of the allure is such a cool line. Um, I guess before I analyze this, what is the nomad to you? Like, what do you perceive the nomad to be? Like, what do you think it represents? Because it means something to me, but I want to know what you guys interpret it as first. Give it a second. I can start. I can start going through the analysis. In the brilliantly bright light of day, when the birds sing and the children play, there lurks a figure dressed in midnight, the darkest stark contrast to the light. So I wanted it to sound like a song, um, like with the alliteration and the rhyme scheme. Um, brilliantly bright light, uh, the dark, a stark contrast, that whole thing. Um, you can't think on the spot like that. All good. Um, so it's the positive things that stanza is the positive things in the world contrasted with the negative. Um, like birds singing and children playing, they're all seen as positive, but it's like there's this looming figure um, that really stands out. You barely notice him at first, but once you do, you fear the worst. Close the blinds and run to the door. You know you've been here before. So this is where I reveal, I guess, my interpretation of what the nomad is. Um, to me, the nomad is intrusive thoughts and anxiety, depression, um, all those sorts of things. Um, so it comes in slowly. Well, for me, it comes in kind of like it creeps there. And you've seen this before, but you just kind of shove it under the mat. Um, but then once you realize that it's become this bigger thing, then you can't ignore it any longer. So you take action, you close the blind so it doesn't see you. Um, you run to the door so you can, which this next line, hold the lock like it's glue until your fingers turn blue. Bated breaths and quiet counts, count to three, then pounce. So you wait and you hope that it goes away. Um, instead of like fully acknowledging that it's not going to. You hold the lock because you don't want to let it in. You don't want to let these intrusive thoughts in. Um, and you'll do that for a really long time until your fingers turn blue. Um, and you're trying to be quiet, the bated breaths, quiet counts, count to three, then pounce. You're waiting for the right moment to, so to speak, like attack these thoughts, which is the one, two, three, go, one, two, three, go, one, two, three, go. But you keep still not letting go, waiting, wishing, wanting him to leave. A knock on the door makes you heave. Um, so, so you're too afraid to say anything or to do anything. So you stay still um, and hope it goes away, but it doesn't. It doesn't leave, and that's the knock on the door. That it was just kind of out in the street first, and then it's in your driveway, and then it's on your porch, and then it's knocking on the door. So it keeps coming closer, and you have to acknowledge it. He's been called the nomad, wandering the world in search of what he had, tantalizing, terrorizing, taunting, his sudden appearance haunting. So the nomad, like I said before, is um, is like depression and intrusive thoughts, that sort of thing. Um, and the wandering the world in search of what he had. Um, he, uh, I say he, but these intrusive thoughts, I'm viewing it as like another person. Um, and he was like you at one point, but he lost it and he doesn't know how to get it back. So he threatens others into getting something. Um, Unlock your door for the nomad, a terrifying, unlikely comrade. He wishes not to kill, but to remove his heart's chill. Same kind of thing. He wants to feel whole again. He just doesn't know how to go about it. He doesn't want to hurt you, but he doesn't know how else to get what he lost, his own happiness back. What if there's more, you say? Let one in and the rest will pray. But is that really true, or will they thank you? So there's this idea that if you let in one intrusive thought, then they'll just keep flooding and flooding and flooding and get worse and worse. Um, but no, if you accept the fact and you let them in, um, they'll be happy that they had a place to stay, that they were fed, and then they'll leave sooner. So the less you try to push them away and the more you accept them just for what they are, then they'll go away sooner. You lock the door to keep away the men, but once they're in, you lock the door again. Tell me, how do you expect them to flee if they have no way out, no key? So if you lock the door and then you barricade the exit to keep away more from coming in, then how will the ones who are already inside be able to get out? So, like, if you lock away, like, if you lock the door, like, I'm using this as a metaphor, like, if you're locking the door or you're forcing these thoughts away, the ones that already made their way through, either by breaking in through the window or just forcing their way into your mind, um, then how do you expect them to leave if you're so focused on pushing them out? They can't because the door is locked. You have to accept them and unlock that door so they can come and go as they please. Unlock your door for the nomad. You won't feel happy nor sad. With him, you'll feel at peace and your worry will release. So you won't be happy that you're having these thoughts. You won't be happy that you're having intrusive thoughts, but you won't be sad that you're having them or angry that you're having them. You'll feel at peace once you accept them. That's the and your worry will release part. He'll grab a cup of tea and sip it slowly. His lips will turn up into a smile and he'll be gone for a while. So he he'll be grateful for the fact that uh you allowed him into your home slash your mind, whatever. Um and he won't come back for a while and he'll leave soon enough. So once you accept the fact that he's there, that's like the grabbing the cup of tea part. Um then he'll leave sooner. Um some days go by, you almost forget until the knock returns and you start to sweat. Once you open the door, you notice he's different than before. Um So you'll like experience a pleasant feeling once these intrusive thoughts are gone, but they'll always come back. Granted, they're not going to come back in the same form, which by this next stanza, he's cloaked in gray, standing in the doorway. With a narrowing eye, you invite him in, but quickly realizing he looks thin. So intrusive thoughts are always going to take on a different form, but they'll usually follow a similar theme. So, like gray is a similar color to black, but they're not exactly the same. So, like once you analyze the emotion, then you can see the pain, which is the with a narrowing eye, you invite him in, but quickly realizing he looks thin. Once you analyze that emotion and once you watch it, then you can see that there's pain there. So you offer him milk and bread, saying nothing till he's fed. Then quietly you say, "Why won't you all go away?" So you want to take care of this emotion. You want to take care of this wandering traveler, this nomad, but you still don't understand why it won't leave you once you've done everything you can to take care of it. His eyes lower to the floor, then turn towards the door. He's slow to speak, but soon the words from his lips leak. So his eyes are turning towards the door because he's debating on whether or not to leave you alone and give you that sense of instant release that he's gone, or to help you in the long run by giving you an answer to your question. And but soon the words from his lips leak, so he decides that he's going to stay and give you the answer. I've seen the changes of time reflected in your rhyme. I've seen your smile fade and the fear I've made. So that's to say that this character, whatever, um, has been with the character, the whatever, the person since they were little. Like I've seen the changes of time reflected in your rhyme. Like you have more um, like sophisticated like rhymes and meaning, like language and things like that. I've seen your smile fade and the fear I've made. That over time you used to be really happy and be like glad, sad, mad, rad, bad, whatever. Um, and then over time, then the fear has taken over as you got older. I've seen the monsters under your bed, heard the horrid words they've said. I've seen the midnight clad lad, whom many call the nomad. So that's kind of the same thing as above, that like the monsters under the bed sort of thing. That they've been with uh the intrusive thoughts have always been there since they were little, but they just kind of you weren't able to see them. That's like I've seen the monsters under your bed. When you're on top of the bed, then like you can't see what's under it. So it's saying that the intrusive thoughts and depression were kind of always like underlying there. Um, but they haven't always like been apparent. Um, but you see, my friend, there is no end. The nomad always comes back in a different shade of black. So that's what I was saying before that. The negative thought patterns and intrusive thoughts usually follow a common theme, but they take different specific forms. He seeks not to hurt or harm, nor to scare or alarm. He wants a place to stay where he won't be cast away. So he doesn't intend to hurt you, but he's been traveling for a really long time and he needs to be taken care of. And he's been cast away from so many other places that he knows that eventually you'll let him in. So he wants a place to stay. So take big breaths, invite him in. Bravery will always win. He won't stay long of this, I'm sure. Your fear was part of the allure. So that's what I was saying. The more you try to push away these intrusive thoughts, the more you fear them, the deeper their hold on you will be. You have to accept them. Those afraid have something to lose. It becomes clear who the nomad will choose, a promise of hospitality versus a slap of reality. So that first line, those afraid have something to lose. So if you aren't afraid and you're at one with yourself and you're at peace, then that can't be taken away from you because peace is internal and you can't take that away from somebody. They'll always have that sense of peace if they're in the present. So, um, hi. Uh, we're in the middle of a poem. I'm almost done, and then I'll start the next poem. But we're going through a poem and analyzing it. So it's one that I wrote. And I'm analyzing this poem. So if you're coming in the middle of it, then yeah, just hang tight. We'll get to the next poem real soon. Um, the fearless knew the game before the nomad came. They know how much to give, so they themselves can still live. So this is essentially saying, like, find the balance between taking care of yourself and taking care of others. So, um, like the fearless knew the game before the nomad came, in the sense that it's like those who do not have fear know that the nomad is going to want to take and take and take and take and take, but they know how much to give so that they can still prioritize themselves. A finite limit to its greed, they give only what it needs and gently guide it out the door, allowing them both to feel once more. So it's accepting the motion, but not letting it take over you. Um, like a finite limit to its greed that I'm going to accept the fact that I'm feeling these things, but I'm not going to let it take over me. And then I'm going to escort you out and just let you move on by. It's okay to be afraid. Mistakes will be made, but don't let fear guide or force you to hide. That's basically just saying don't let fear guide your life. Keep your head held high up towards the sky. Soon you will be glad you unlocked your door for the nomad. So you'll feel better once you accept that they will come and go. Um, that these thoughts will come and go. But yeah, so that's the nomad. I'm gonna go through the chat now. Hello, welcome. Um, imagine a book with all that. I'll definitely buy one. These are all ones that I wrote within the past year. Just kind of throughout my journey towards self-help and those sorts of things. These are ones that I wrote. The theme slash color of intrusive thoughts image. That's genius. Thank you. Yeah. Let me get a drink of water. You don't know what's going on, but this is very interesting. We're about to move on to the next poem, unless anybody has any questions, comments, concerns about that one. Yeah, if you need any clarification, anything like that, then just let me know. Thank you. But yeah, is there any questions, anything like that? Anything you want me to explain again? Anything you didn't understand? Anything like that? Or are we good? I feel like a teacher. I'm like, do we have any questions, comments, or concerns, class? Oh my God, y'all. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I'm waiting. Y'all are making me blush. Ugh. This is an ASMR show, and I'm not gonna laugh. I'm not gonna do it. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Nope. Uh. God, this is funny. Um. Yeah, yeah. I'm like, uh, really, this live reminds me of these extra literature lessons I had in the past. Nice memories. I like poems and stuff, so I mean, that's why I kind of wanted to do this. But I really like the beginning. I think is a really good way to represent the slow realization that things are getting worse again and trying, but failing to prevent it. Yeah, because that's what I feel like I have. Because it's like I'll notice like there's like this weird undercurrent um of like I don't know how to describe it, but there's just like an undercurrent slash undertone of unease that I feel. And I think that's similar to like seeing something out of your peripheral vision. Um where it's like you can kind of see that it's there, but it's not clear. Um that's kind of the metaphor I'd use. Um, but then once you realize that that it's like not gonna go away and it's in fact getting further into your central field of vision, then that's when you start to worry because it's becoming more clear and you're realizing that you can't just push it away or ignore it anymore because it's right there in front of you. So, yeah. Um God. But yeah, so that's the Nomad. Um it's 2:26 where you are. God damn. It's like evening for me. Ugh. Um Anyway, next poem. It's called The Locket. Unless there's any other comments about the Nomad, or questions or anything like that. Um, but if not, then we will move on. But I want to make sure we're all on the same page. God, I feel like such a teacher. I have not done a face reveal, no. Just start naming these streams poetry class. Somebody said that this felt like an online class, and I can't tell if that's a good or a bad thing. um, the Locket, the only um, I've been giving trigger warnings for some of these poems. Um, there's an allusion to suicide. It's not explicit, it's more just kind of the undertone of the poem. Um, but if you're not comfortable with that, please don't listen. Um, yeah, so just putting that out there. It doesn't become clear until the last stanza, but just wanted to let you know. All right, so the Locket. From flecks of gold to dashes of silver, a heavy weight in heart and hand. The weight of your secrets, your tears, your soul hanging around my neck, a heavy weight indeed. Cool metal making masses flee, warmed by my skin, guarded by my shirt, surrounded by my hand. A reminder. Don't judge a book by its cover. What if there is no cover? Lying flat on a table, pages bared and open for all to see. No shield, only authenticity. Why bother? A cover gives a preface, a start to the journey, the artwork manifesting the story's livelihood. Why bother? My friend, a cover is nothing but lies, painting a picture of simplicity amidst chaos. Carefully drawn fields, perfectly sculpted trees, a rising sun. You pick up the book. Rows of remains rotting beneath the grass, hundreds of ants marching along the bark, a setting sun. You move on. Why? Cadavers need a place to rest. Ants need food to survive. The sun cannot always rise, yet we shudder at their presence. The tick, tick, ticking of my heart, counting down my eventual end until I may see you again and feel your arms around me. Until then, my friend, I keep your essence safe from the nags of the world and their selfish lies. So there's also landscaping going on outside, which is perfect timing. But hmm, that is the Locket. Um, and I will go uh, line by line. Well, not line by line, stanza by stanza, and uh, do my analysis. Um, from flecks of gold to dashes of silver, a heavy weight in heart and hand. So this is a locket of your deceased friend. It's a prized possession. It was their prized possession, and it's a heavy weight, quite literally, because it's made of metal. It hangs heavy around your neck. Um, but it's also heavy in like a spiritual sense because it bears the weight of your friend's death. Um, the weight of your secrets, your tears, your soul hanging around my neck, a heavy weight indeed. Just again, kind of describing the metaphorical weight of the death, like your tears, your soul. This was your prized possession, and it represents you and your secrets, your tears, who you were as a person. It's just like hanging around my neck. It's very heavy weight to bear the prized possession of someone who is gone. Cool metal making masses flee, warmed by my skin, guarded by my shirt, surrounded by my hand. A reminder. So many people are afraid of death. Um, so it makes like cool metal making masses flee. Um, for what it represents. It represents death. And people are reminded of the fact that this person is gone. Um, and it's making people afraid, so they don't want to think about it, they don't want to look at it, they're just like um and the last line, reminder, it's a remainder of your friend, a physical remainder of uh who they were as a person, but it's a reminder of death and the inevitability of it. Don't judge a book by its cover. What if there is no cover? Lying flat on a table, I'm so sorry. Pages bared and open for all to see. No shield, only authenticity. So, um, the first line, don't judge a book by its covers, and quotes, like quoting somebody like that, you know, famous saying. But it's saying, what if there is no cover? So, what if the book was just open on the table? Just anybody could just pick it up and read it. So, that's what the authenticity part is. You're not putting up a facade or a best in quotes version of who you are. You're just being yourself right from the get go. Um, why bother? A cover gives a preface, a start to the journey, the artwork manifesting the story's livelihood. So, this is one half of the debate because some people think that, like a cover to a book or something like that, uh, it like highlights you as a person, like the artwork manifesting the story's livelihood. It's one side of the argument that um, this is what I see kind of like putting out your bios or something for social media, something that it like highlights you as a person. And this next stanza is the counter argument. Why bother? In quotes with a question mark. Why bother? My friend, a cover is nothing but lies, painting a picture of simplicity amidst chaos. So this is the counter argument that a cover just gives a false glimpse of the whole being. Um, that a cover is very simple and those bios and things are very simple and it's a very watered down version of who this person is. And it's giving a false glimpse or a false representation of who this person is. Are you raising your hand? I don't know what that is. Um, I mean, the person's friend or anyone close death stays with us. People who knew the dead person, no matter how hard we try to forget, like a stain you can't erase. Sorry if I didn't get it right. Yes, if you have a question, go ahead. Hello. Poetry makes Chinese food taste better. I believe the cover is what people themselves think it is for themselves, so some can be bad and other times can be enlightening. Were you here when we started this one? Do you need me to go back a bit? Hello from overseas. Please do not share your age if you're not comfortable. I would advise you not to. Um, yeah. Um, but somebody had a question. I am not going to say my age. Um, I'm just not comfortable doing that. But moving on. Carefully drawn fields, perfectly sculpted trees, a rising sun. You pick up the book. So this is like one half of the coin. And then the next stanza, rows of remains rotting beneath the grass, hundreds of ants marching along the bark, a setting sun. You move on. Why? So this is like depicting two different scenes. Like the first one being the idealistic, like carefully drawn fields, like it's very carefully crafted, perfectly sculpted trees, a rising sun, which usually represents like opportunity and beauty, um, things like that. Um, and then carefully drawn fields below that, rows of remains rotting beneath the grass, perfectly sculpted trees, hundreds of ants marching along the bark, a rising sun versus a setting sun. So when you get this idealistic view of this book, or which is a representation for a person, then you pick up the book, you're interested. But when you see, I'm so sorry about the noise outside. Um, but uh, when you see the rows of remains rotting beneath the grass, the ants, the setting sun, things like that, you move on. Why? It's just questioning this fact that it's like when you see the person for who they are as a whole, then why are you tempted to move on? Like, why do you move beyond this person? Because you're seeing the same thing just in a different light. Um, hmm. Cadavers need a place to rest. Ants need food to survive. The sun cannot always rise, yet we shudder at their presence. So, this is saying that a person's struggles need to be seen as part of them. You can't ignore them. So, this is directly correlating to the previous two stanzas, the fields, the trees, and the sun, or the remains, the ants, and the sun. Um, so, it's saying that these things make up the whole image. You can't just see it for the positives that you see in someone, you have to see them as a whole person. The tick, tick, ticking of my heart, counting down my eventual end until I may see you again and feel your arms around me. So I purposefully use ticking instead of beating to describe the heart because it's reminiscent of a clock, which could be like a clock ticking down to your death. Until then, my friend, I keep your essence safe from the nags of the world and their selfish lies. This is the allusion to the fact that the person ended their life purposefully, because people are selfishly not taking responsibility for their words and actions that they said to this person or did to this person, that over time ultimately led this person to take their life. Not to say that one singular person was responsible, but it's saying that everybody is like, oh, well, I didn't do anything wrong and it's their fault. And they were just really upset or really depressed. And that was their own issue. And I had nothing to do with it. And that's like from the nags of the world and their selfish lies. So that's the locket. Um, this is probably my least favorite one out of all the poems that I've written. But I wrote it and I wanted to share it. Um, any questions? Anything like that? Any other interpretations? Because if not, we can move on to um, the next one. Many people are careless with people's feelings, and I don't blame those that took their lives. I don't advise anyone to do that. Yeah. Comparing heartbeat to a clock ticking was fantastic. But yeah, going back to what you were saying, many people are careless with people's feelings. That's kind of the whole like I guess representation of this poem. And it's not apparent until the end, but it's just that like people have a very like this is another thing I just thought of. Like a locket, you don't know what's inside until you open it up. And it's only if you want to open it up that you can see what's inside. So the person, this friend of whoever's speaking, um, like warmed by my skin, guarded by my shirt, whoever's speaking, they're the one that knows what's inside because they took the time. Um, so it's like they're the one that took the time to see what was inside. But others, they just see like this representation of death and they're like, nope, understand, but I kind of don't like it a bit. Is it a suicide prevention or is it a suicide scandal or however you say? May you elaborate? Yeah. Um, it's not, it's more of a warning. Um, so, like in this poem, basically what's happening is that um, a person, like a friend of the narrator, had committed suicide and they left behind their locket, who the narrator carries with them. And it's saying that we shouldn't judge people based off of um, very little information. And it like it compares it to a metaphor. Compares it to a metaphor. What? It uses a metaphor of a book and like don't judge a book by its cover. That society viewed this person who committed suicide in a very um, like narrow point of view. Um, so uh, if they had seen the whole person, which is who the narrator sees because they see like what's inside the locket, which is another metaphor. Um, and so it's more just like understanding where everybody's coming from as a whole, not just seeing them for part of who they are. Um, and the fact that once somebody's gone, then nobody's willing to take responsibility. Um, because the pain would be too great to say, I did something that contributed negatively to somebody else. Especially now, no one really cares, and it bothers me to a certain extent now. But to the very few people who decide to get to know a person and help a person is wonderful. So it's like a piece, but with memories of that person or friend of theirs. Yeah. So like the locket represents this person, um, like this person that committed suicide. Um, that it's a piece of them. It's a remainder of them, but it's also a reminder um, to not view people in just one very narrow light. Um, and you can't just see a locket for what's outside. When you see a locket, you want to open it up. And this poem is saying that the people that live in this world just see the locket and they're instantly scared because it's cool, it's metal, and they don't like it. So it makes the masses flee, as I said. Um, but the person who knows what's inside knows how valuable it is. And that's the warmed by my skin, guarded by my shirt, surrounded by my hand part. We shouldn't judge people at all. I think it's very unfair to judge anyone or anything. Everyone has their own story. Yeah. Um, I personally hate judging people, and I know I do it sometimes, just subconsciously because that's the world that I grew up in, but I'm learning to take responsibility for that. Um, I don't want to judge people, and if I find myself doing that, then I try my best to um to alter that thinking and think, okay, why am I thinking this? Is it because I actually think it, or is it because I was taught to think this way? Um, and I'm not doing that because I'm like, oh, if I do this, I'll be a better person or whatever. It's because I think everybody um, genuinely deserves a chance to be seen as a whole human being. The fact that the locket was both a physical and spiritual package was a lovely point of view. I don't judge anyone, rather, I judge myself. Am I even capable to judge that person? Because everyone has a different experience, and you will never get to know. Um, you'll never get to know what somebody else experienced. It's like my luck and my best friend. Mm, I'm sorry about that. This is a heavy stream, by the way. So if you're just joining us, please view the trigger warnings in the description. Um, yeah. Um, but that's how I view it. Just you have to get to know a person. You can't judge them based off of preconceived notions or biases or um, whatever, just overgeneralized viewpoints of whoever this person may be. Yes, you can ask me something. I can't promise that I'll answer it, but you can go ahead and ask. Yeah, I don't understand it. I really don't. Because if you were here the other night, I have a lot of body insecurity. Um, and I don't understand why. Uh, I don't understand why people feel the need to shame others for whatever reason, body or otherwise. Um, it doesn't make sense to me. Um, Genuinely, I don't understand it because they are not you, and therefore it's not going to impact you at all. Especially if it's somebody's looks. How is that going to impact you in any sense? And it frustrates me to no end. Um, because it forces so many people to feel like they're not enough. Just society's perception of who is and who is not worthy based on how they look. It doesn't make sense. So it just, I'm not going to get on a whole rant, but it frustrates me. Anyway, you choose to answer if comfortable. What's your inspiration to write suicidal poems? Um, Again, very strong trigger warning for suicide, that sort of thing. So um, please, please leave. Um, if if you're not comfortable with that topic, that's why I put the trigger warning in the title and in the description, all that kind of stuff. I want to make sure that everybody's going to be okay. Um, so I'll give you that chance now. Um, but yeah, not to get too deep or too depressing, I guess. But I've had a couple near attempts. Um, Haven't actually tried, but have gotten very, very close 2 or 3 times. So, part of it is that, and part of it is, um, like, the death of, uh of who I once was, because I feel like I'm becoming a new person and I'm going through a lot of change currently. So, suicide in the sense that, I mean, actually, the next poem is going to kind of describe this whole thing. But yeah, yeah. And I'm glad all of you are still here. It it takes a lot to persevere. I would know. Um, yeah. Um, I think while we're on this topic, the next poem is actually really going to put into perspective what I mean and why I write so many of these poems. It's long, it really is. And again, major, major, major trigger warning for suicidal ideation. Um, but this one is also my favorite. Uh, Funnily enough, it's called "I Killed Myself." Um, so please, if you are not comfortable with descriptions of suicide or anything like that, um, please do not listen. Um, Take care of yourself. Okay. All right. Bye. Thank you. All right. So I guess if everybody here is okay with that topic, then we'll go ahead and get started with the next poem. You got a tissue box. All right. Um, this one is pretty long. It's like 5 pages or so on a Google Doc. But anyway, the next one is called "I Killed Myself." Here we go. Whew, I gotta breathe. I killed myself today. Blood pouring from my veins, dancing down my arms, brilliantly red. Brilliance, an unofficial label defining my being as it flows onto the floor. Flooring the gas pedal on my life. Slow down, you crazy child. There is no time. Time, the truest illusion. No beginning, no end. Forever looming. Always ticking. Always watching. Watching myself from outside my own body. Hearing a voice from 1,000 miles away. Stay. Watching myself from outside my own body. Hearing a voice from inside my own head. Better off dead. Stop. Stand still. Shut your mouth. Dead, bled red, fed my fears until it burst its belly. Belly of a whale, the mirror swims. A lifeboat arrives, but the air is gone. Late, late, late. Too late to live, too early to die. I'm stuck. Stuck. Fuck. Duck, duck, goosing my way to the end. The goose is fast. Faster, faster, faster. Running, twisting, turning my stomach until I throw up. Up, disapproving looks. Down, head in the books. Left, leftover bile. Right, stays for a while. While I'm running, I hear a voice. Turn back now, you have no choice. I stop running. I stop breathing. I stop, stand still, and turn around. Around the bend, I see myself 5 years older, wearing a smile. I hear a familiar voice echo in my ears. It's my own, spoken without fear. If it is safe to do so, living authentically is always better than hiding your identity. Authenticity. Is that not what this is? Depression, anxiety, OCD. Is that not me? Come close, my friend, for you shall see. In time, you will be me. My heart is scarred, my arms are too, but they are a reminder to not lose you. I'd bleed my veins, I'd tear my soul for you to realize you have control. Blood pouring from my veins, dancing down my arms, brilliantly red. It lines the lines of my arms, it tears the tears from my eyes, and replaces them with crinkles and stars. Do I love you? I do. A marriage of identities swirling together. Together we'll make something of ourselves. We'll push through the fog, we'll climb over the hills, we'll run in the dark. Together. We have no place to be. We're not trying to get there. We're already there. You got me here. You need the boat to cross the river, but once you've crossed the river, you don't need the boat. I don't admonish you for needing a boat. You can't swim against that current. But building a boat comes easy to you now. You don't dip your toes in the icy water anymore. Once you've crossed to the other side, you look back briefly to see what you've left behind. One lone duck stands valiantly across the way. You nod in unison and turn around for good. Are you alone now? No. There's been someone here the whole time. They don't magically appear, they don't come from the shadows. They were always here, only you can see them clearly now. A wave of luscious locks, a banana patterned shirt, a pair of funky socks, a soft yet hardened hand, a perfectly gentle smile, a relaxed stance, a pair of brilliantly blue eyes, a look with no demand. When I get hurt, will this be the end? No, my friend. This is the beginning. You don't hide the water dripping from your shirt. You don't hide the exhaustion behind your eyes. You simply stand up straight and extend your hand to the stranger. An overwhelming sense of peace as they shake your hand. This is where you are meant to land. You fumble, you blush, you rush your words. They simply smile and walk alongside you. Don't they hate me? I've said too much. After all, they're a stranger. I need to turn around. I need to turn around. Stop. Stand still. Shut your mouth. Look to your right. They're also stopped. A breath in, a breath out. The fear melts away as their gentle smile returns. The sun shines, the birds chirp. A pretty day with a pretty stranger. I'll tell you this, my friend. They see you for who you are. They too cross the river, just from the other side. You walk for hours, days, months, laughing all the way, until one day their eyes set upon a rose. It's brilliantly red, its petals shine, its stem is grounded, beautifully divine. Do you wish you were the rose? Who knows? The thought drifts away as you see their face. You've never seen happiness look so beautiful on someone. In that moment, you open your mouth. Do I love you? I do. A marriage of identities swirling together. Do they love you? Who knows? The thought drifts away as their gentle smile returns. Something clicks deep inside your mind. They are your boat. You're on the river, afloat. But how could that be? You watched your own 2 feet land upon the land not so long ago. You finally got there, the other side of the river. Is that not the end? No, my friend. You are always on the river. Of this I am sure. It matters not where you land, but the journey to understand. Maybe the boat will sink and you'll end up alone, but you'll have been happy that you had the boat at all. You were a stranger to the stranger. Maybe in time the boat will forget its journey across the river, but you will not. The boat has seen oceans of which you have not, but you've seen mountains of which it has not. You're ready. It's time. You nod in unison and turn around for good. I killed myself today. And that's the poem. My friend made me play this out loud so they could hear it and they literally start crying. Oh, are they okay? Did you give them a warning? Are they okay? Oh, there's a bug. Hello. Would you like to crawl on my hand? It's like a little. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Are they all right though? Yeah, there's a bug. There's a little bug. Okay, it jumps. That okay. Um, I'm gonna make a suggestion. Stop listen. The person who's no one. Um, I don't know your name. Uh, go check and see if they're okay. Please do that. Um, I want to make sure that they are okay. Um, it is dark, and yeah, so please go check. Um, they said they're okay. Okay. Whew, I can breathe now. um, okay. I don't know if they're still listening or not, or if you are still playing it aloud, but just let them know that they're gonna be okay. It is gonna be okay. And I know I'm a stranger on the internet and that words mean nothing, but okay. Just tell them that. Tell them I said that. Please. Yeah. Um, okay. Yeah, I know I'm a stranger on the internet and um I know they're probably thinking what ground do I have to be talking about this kind of thing, but I've experienced it before and by their reaction I would assume they um felt similarly. So they're going to be okay. May not be today, may not be tomorrow, may not be next week, this month, this year, but one day it will be okay. And if you put in the work, you just have to keep fighting and things will get better. So just keep pushing. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Um, um, would you still like me to uh, do the analysis of this one, or would you like to leave it there? I'll leave it up to you. You is like generally you guys. I'm okay with still reading it, but I want to make sure that you all are okay. Um, so just let me know. I am. Um, This is the poem that means the most to me out of anything I've ever written, just because it's so me. Um, I did, um, I forget when I wrote this. I think it was back in like December or something. Um, and I wrote some longer explanations for like the first half of the poem, and then I did like a rushed kind of thing for the second half. But if you all are okay listening, then this is something that, I mean, I like this poem a lot. Discuss it. Yeah. Um, so if y'all are comfortable, then here we go. Um, Need to cough. Okay. So the first line, I killed myself today. Um, Killing yourself is almost always taken in the literal sense, and that's how this first section is supposed to be taken. Blood pouring from my veins, dancing down my arms, brilliantly red, describes how I died. The fact that it was via a sharp object indicates that I wanted to suffer as opposed to having a quick death. Brilliance, an unofficial label defining my being as it flows onto the floor. Brilliance is used as a double meaning. So it's used as brilliance of the color of the blood, um, like the brilliantly red, and brilliance of the mind, which is something that I've been praised for my whole life. Um, I was always the smart kid in school, um, and that defined who I was for a long time, and it just drove my perfectionistic tendencies through the roof. So saying that my brilliance flows onto the floor is a commentary on how society would view my death as wasted potential. Flooring the gas pedal on my life. Slow down, you crazy child. There's no time. You also notice that throughout this first section, the last word in one stanza um, is pretty much the next word in the first word of the next stanza. So, like, as it flows onto the floor, flooring the gas pedal. There's no time. Time, the truest delusion. Always ticking. Always watching. Watching myself. Blah 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 blah. Um, which I guess I'll just explain that now. That's just to show the continuity between these thoughts, that it's like I'll have one bad thought and then another bad thought, and they all just lead one into the other. Um, and then we'll get to the next part. But um, flooring the gas pedal on my life, slow down, you crazy child, there's no time. Um, I've constantly felt like my life has been one big long race to the end, and I can't enjoy any singular moment because it's always in preparation for something in the future. Like my sights are always set on some like unattainable future goal. Um, the "Slow Down, You Crazy Child" is a reference to Vienna by Billy Joel, the song, which is something that I greatly connected with when I first heard it. Sobbed, cried my eyes out when I first heard it. Um, so the negative side of my brain, which the first half of this poem is representing, told me that I didn't have time to slow down. That's the "Slow down, you crazy child, there's no time." Told me that I didn't have time to slow down. I had to keep moving. Um, and I'm going to come back to this line in the second half of the poem. So, time, the truest illusion. No beginning, no end, forever looming, always ticking, always watching. Um, it's a reference to Unisonus, which I don't know if any of you know of, but essentially, if you know of Markiplier, or Ethan Crank and Blaze, they did a channel together for where they made one video every single day for a year and then deleted the channel at the end. And it was supposed to be like a representation of the inevitability of death. So that channel was really, really important to me. It helped me get over my fear of death. Um, and I'll read the next, um, or I'm trying to figure out what order I should do this. Um, the next stanza is going to talk about dissociation, and what usually precedes it is a joyful experience. So for me, I experience something happy or positive, and then something bad happens to counteract that, or so I was led to believe for a really long time. So the dichotomy of time being both a positive and a negative kind of fits this section. And the next stanza, watching myself from outside my own body, hearing a voice from 1,000 miles away, stay. Watching myself from outside my own body, hearing a voice from inside my own head, better off dead. So this describes dissociation. Um, I generally feel like everything's kind of like a lot to process, which is why I repeated the first line. Like I need things to be repeated from like in order to understand them when I'm dissociating. That's why I said watching myself from outside my own body twice in this stanza. So the distant voice is the voice of reason, and the nearer voice is the one of my intrusive thoughts and negativity. And that's the 1,000 miles away versus inside my own head. Um, the intrusive thoughts are louder because it's more prominent and easier to hear. I'd have to tune out a lot in order to hear the voice of reason when I'm in this kind of state. And then I break the cycle of using the last word, first word, that kind of thing. When I say stop, stand still, shut your mouth, dead, bled red, fed my fears until it burst its belly. And this one I have a long explanation for. Um, it's the first stanza that breaks that pattern. It represents me breaking out of this cycle, so to speak. So the speaker of the line, shut your mouth, is intentionally left ambiguous. Is it my voice? Is it the voice of reason? Is it the intrusive thoughts? Is it something else? Because it could be interpreted multiple ways, and I'll describe that now. Um, if reason is saying this line, if reason is saying shut your mouth, it's telling the intrusive thoughts to stay quiet because they don't say anything useful. If it's me saying it, like me being Ash saying shut your mouth, I'm telling myself to just stop because the cognitive dissonance or like the internal battle is too much to deal with. If it's the intrusive thought saying it, shut your mouth, um, like still, like stop, stand still. Stillness is a concept of being in the moment and taking in the silence. By saying shut your mouth to this, it's telling Ash to stop engaging in healthy practices because what's the point anyway? The rhyming of dead, bled, red, fed, my fears until it bursts its belly is intentional. Everything starts sounding the same after a dissociative episode because it takes too much brain power to think critically. Um, I just kind of have similar thought patterns and everything just kind of sounds the same. Feeding my fears is because the intrusive thoughts won the battle, because it says dead and bled red instead, as opposed to saying like stay. Um, which was from the previous stanza, hearing a voice from 1,000 miles away, stay. Instead, it's echoing the line, better off dead, dead, bled red, fed, blah, blah, blah. Belly of a whale, the mirror swims, a lifeboat arrives, but the air is gone. I've always been insecure about my weight, so this is using it as like a hyperbole, like belly of a whale, like a huge whale. Um, the mirror swims represents me or my reflection trying to hold myself up or like tread water against the weight of societal expectations. And the lifeboat, like a lifeboat arrives, but the air is gone, could be interpreted in a couple different ways. Um, Healthy coping mechanisms, supportive friends, therapy, all those sorts of things. But saying the air is gone demonstrates that what little hope was there is no longer. Um, Sorry, I got a message. Uh, Hyperbole is just like a very extreme exaggeration. So it's an exaggeration to an extreme extent. Next stanza. Late, 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 too late to live, too early to die. I'm stuck. Um, so I've been diagnosed with OCD. Um, so I have a habit of repeating words. Um, like in my head, like I'll repeat certain words, whatever, which does not bode well for intrusive thoughts because I'll get stuck on like a single negative thought and repeat it over and over and over and over and over again in my head. So in this case, late, like the word late, is the negative thought, and I'm stuck is the conclusion that I came to. Stuck, fuck, duck, duck, goosing my way to the end. The goose is fast. Um, by saying fuck, uh, it represents that I'm not trying to filter myself anymore. I'm done trying to hide behind walls. I'm frustrated and I don't care who hears what I have to say. Um, the reference to Duck Duck Goose represents my inner child, since Duck Duck Goose is like a childlike game. It represents my inner child chasing my hopes and dreams because I was always told that when I was younger, I could do anything if I set my mind to it, that saying. And ultimately realizing that happiness, which is the goose, is something I'll never be able to reach if I don't accept the fact that it's something I create, not chase. Faster, 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 running, twisting, turning my stomach until I throw up. Um, this is essentially saying that I'm harming myself by trying to chase an impossible goal. And like the throwing up part is that it's like I keep running after this goal of happiness, but I never get there. And then I'm harming myself in that way. Up, disapproving looks, down, head in the books, left, leftover bile, right, stays for a while. So this is just like directionally. If I'm looking up, then I'm seeing people judge me. So I look down, which is what I do a lot. And I put my head in the books because that's what I've been told I'm good at. And that's where I'm comfortable. So I look down. And if I look left, and that's the leftover bile from throwing up, from harming myself, from chasing that impossible goal, whatever. And right, it stays for a while. So that harm that I did to myself, it stays for a long time. It's not just like a one and done deal. It stays. I still have the scars, literally and metaphorically. While I'm running, I hear a voice. Turn back now. You have no choice. This is essentially saying that I need to, like, I'm forced to face my past instead of trying to run from it because I'm running towards something. I'm running towards happiness, which implies that I'm running away from something else. Not in the sense that something's chasing me, but that I'm distancing myself from something. I'm distancing myself from unhappiness. And I tied unhappiness to the past. And saying, turn back now, you have no choice, is saying you have to face your past. I stop running. I stop breathing. I stop, stand still, and turn around. So this is a reference to the previous stop, stand still line. Um, I'm listening to the voice because I have no sense of direction. I have no idea where I'm going. The goose is now gone. Um, happiness is now gone because I hear this voice. And since I stopped running, then it's gone. I've lost it. And I have no sense of direction. And I need something, anything to tell me where to go because I'm lost. Around the bend, I see myself 5 years older, wearing a smile. That one's pretty self explanatory. I see myself. I hear a familiar voice echo in my ears. It's my own, spoken without fear. Um, uh, the person that's running is so constantly afraid And this is the first time that I'm hearing myself, of all people, talk so confidently, like spoken without fear, like I'm talking confidently. What is that? And this is the next part. Like, this is what I'm saying. If it is safe to do so, living authentically is always better than hiding your identity, which is a quote that I had from an essay that I wrote. Authenticity, is that not what this is? Depression, anxiety, OCD, is that not me? Um, if you watched the Power of Now stream, I talked about this a little bit, like the pain body, where it's you identify with your struggle as if that's who you are and as if that is your identity when it's not. So at the time, I didn't know who I was without my depression and anxiety, etc. I didn't know who Ash was, and I was so afraid of losing it. Come close, my friend, for you shall see. In time, you will be me. So this is saying I have to have faith that I'll be the person who speaks without fear. I need to accept the fact that I'm going to lose my fear. I have to accept it. My heart is scarred, my arms are too, but they are a reminder to not lose you. So my heart is scarred from the things I've endured, and my arms are scarred because of self harm, but they remind me of my past, which is what got me here today. My past self kept going, which is why I'm still here. I bleed my veins, I tear my soul for you to realize you have control. At the time, I didn't feel like I had any control over my life. Like I was just destined to fail in whatever I did. Sorry. I didn't feel like I had control. Um, Blood pouring from my veins, dancing down my arms, brilliantly red. Um, this is again a reference to the line at the stanza near the beginning of the poem. So this is kind of giving a hint as to what I mean by I killed myself. It's giving now my future self is saying it. So it's kind of giving a hint as to what I mean by that. It lines the lines of my arms. It tears the tears from my eyes and replaces them with crinkles and stars. So I use the words twice. The it lines the lines and tears the tears, because it kind of represents the double meaning behind I killed myself. Um, and again, it hints as to what I really mean by that. Do I love you? I do. A marriage of identities swirling together. This is essentially me being grateful for my past self. Um, we're so different, but yet the same. And in this one moment where we're meeting, I'm looking back and he's looking forward, and our identities are colliding, so to speak. Together we'll make something of ourselves. We'll push through the fog, we'll climb over the hills, we'll run in the dark together. This is saying that I can't move forward without accepting my past. I have to accept it. I don't have to relive it, but I have to accept it. And I have to bring it along with me. I have to hold the hand of my inner child and be like, you are safe. I will protect you because you still live inside of me. We have no place to be. We're not trying to get there. We're already here. You got me here. That's pretty self explanatory. My past self is the one who led me to where I am today. Um, and it's saying that in every moment, you're already there. You're not trying to get someplace else. Because while you may have goals and stuff for the future, then you're not expecting to gain happiness from achieving those goals. You're doing it because you want to. You need the boat to cross the river, but once you've crossed the river, you don't need the boat. This is a quote that I'd heard, um, and it represents the fact that you need your discomfort to wake you up to the fact that you don't need to live like that any longer. So, like, in order to cross a river that's really rapidly flowing, you need a boat. Um, but once you've crossed the river, you don't need that boat anymore. So you need your discomfort to wake you up to the fact that you don't want to live like that anymore. And then once you've realized that, then you don't need your discomfort, sorry. I don't admonish you for needing a boat. You can't swim against that current. So don't talk negatively to yourself for being depressed, anxious, whatever, because it was the very thing that allowed you to recognize that you can change for the better. Building a boat comes easy to you now. You don't dip your toes in icy water anymore. So, this is saying that you have less and less fear of becoming stronger and changing your situation as you do it more. And the boat is not always going to be the same. The boat originally was your discomfort, but now, as you face challenges in your life, then you're building a new boat, and the boat can be like healthy coping mechanisms or something. And you're not afraid of what you have to face. You don't dip your toes in icy water anymore. You just build a boat and you go. Once you've crossed to the other side, you look back briefly to see what you've left behind. So you want to see where you came from, so to speak. One lone duck stands valiantly across the way. You nod in unison and turn around for good. Um, if any of you saw the reverse comfort number 4 video, um, I talk about a friend that I lost, not in the sense that they're not alive anymore, but we were good friends, and they decided one day, kind of out of the blue, that they didn't want to be my friend anymore. And this kind of is representing that um, the duck's going to go their way, and I'm going to go my way, and that's it. Are you alone now? No, there's been someone here the whole time. I had to get water. Because you think now that you've lost the duck, you're alone, and you're in this new place, and you don't know where you are. But there's been someone here the whole time. They don't magically appear. They don't come from the shadows. They were always here, only you can see them clearly now. You couldn't see them before you crossed the river, but once you came closer and once you opened your eyes, your progress is the reason you can see them now. You cross that river and now they've come closer and you can see them. Otherwise, you might have just overlooked them. A wave of luscious locks, a banana patterned shirt, a pair of funky socks, a soft yet hardened hand, a perfectly gentle smile, a relaxed stance, a pair of brilliantly blue eyes, a look with no demand. So this is basically saying, like, I'm noticing everything about this person. I'm fully present now. I'm noticing their shirt. I'm noticing their hair. I'm noticing um, their smile, their stance, their body language, their eyes, everything. Um, and it's all becoming clear. I'm just like clear in the mind. I'm not just seeing like, oh, that's a person. I'm noticing everything about them. And this is also reminiscent of falling in love. Um, we haven't spoken yet, but it's, well, I wouldn't say falling in love, but like falling in lust, maybe. I don't know how you want to describe it, but liking someone, we'll put it that way. Well, when I get hurt, will this be the end? No, my friend, this is the beginning. So your previous experience of is guiding your fear. So your fear is guiding you towards this negative thought pattern. Well, when I get hurt, will this be the end? But my future self is telling my past self, no, my friend, this is the beginning. That there's a whole world of opportunities waiting for me with a stranger. You don't hide the water dripping from your shirt. You don't hide the exhaustion behind your eyes. You simply stand up straight and extend your hand to the stranger. So you're completely yourself from the get-go. You're authentic. You don't hide the fact that you've struggled. Um, you don't hide anything. You stand up straight, you extend your hand and say, you're either going to take my hand or you're not. An overwhelming sense of peace as they shake your hand. This is where you are meant to land. So they accept you for who you are. You you show them everything. You show them all of the water, the exhaustion, everything. and they still shake your hand. This is where you are meant to land. You have nothing to hide, so you feel at peace. You fumble, you blush, you rush your words. They simply smile and walk alongside you. This is to say that they don't judge you for liking them. Um, they just keep going. Don't they hate me? I've said too much. After all, they're a stranger. I need to turn around. I need to turn around. This is where you're starting to doubt yourself and like you feel embarrassed by your authenticity. And you're like, oh my God, I just opened up completely to this person and I can't do it. I need to go back. I can't be with this person anymore. I can't walk alongside them. Stop, stand still, shut your mouth, look to your right. They're also stopped. So this is obviously a reference to the old line, the stop, stand still, shut your mouth part. Um, they're along with you for the ride. Um, because they're taking this at the pace that you want to. Like you look to your right, they're also stopped when you're having these fears. They're with you. They're here to support you. A breath in, a breath out. The fear melts away as their gentle smile returns. So the breathing part is just taking time to be present, and that melts away the fear. And they notice that you're being present um, when their gentle smile returns. The sun shines, the birds chirp. A pretty day with a pretty stranger. Basically, just saying that everything's okay now that you're present. I'll tell you this, my friend. They see you for who you are. They too cross the river, just from the other side. So they crossed another river to get here in non metaphorical terms. Um, they struggled with their own challenges to get to this middle ground, and you're meeting in the middle. You both come from different struggles, but here you are. You walk for days, or you walk for hours, days, months, laughing all the way until one day their eyes set upon a rose. So the walking and laughing part is the growing friendship. And the rose means or represents that they're falling in love with someone. It's brilliantly red, its petals shine, its stem is grounded, beautifully divine. And the brilliantly red part is a reference to earlier, which is again referencing that the I killed myself is not something that's meant to be taken literally. Um, and it's essentially saying that it's just this beautiful person. They're just this beautiful person. I say it's because I said rose, but they're just this beautiful person. Do you wish you were the rose? Who knows? The thought drifts away as you see their face. So this is essentially saying, do you wish they were in love with you? Who knows? You genuinely don't know because, and it doesn't matter because you see that they're happy. And that's this next stanza. You've never seen happiness look so beautiful in someone. In that moment, you open your mouth. You don't care if they love you or not because you see how happy they are with this other person. Do I love you? I do. A marriage of identities swirling together. And this is again a reference to the other line that it's like before it meant that my present self and my past self were combining into one, and there was a lot of acceptance happening, acceptance of the past, acceptance of the things I can't control, all that sort of thing. And this part, do I love you? I do. A marriage of identities swirling together. It's saying that I really care about this person, and we're kind of like becoming one as friends. Do they love you? Who knows? The thought drifts away as their gentle smile returns. So it doesn't matter if they love you or not because they're happy. Something clicks deep inside your mind. They are your boat. You're on the river, afloat, which essentially is to say they're what you needed all along. But how could that be? You watched your own 2 feet land upon the land not so long ago. You finally got there, the other side of the river. Is that not the end? So this is kind of referencing what I said earlier. Like you thought you got there in quotes, but you never did. No, my friend, you are always on the river. Of this I am sure. It matters not where you land, but the journey to understand. And this is basically saying, like, remember what we talked about earlier, that water. Remember that you're always on the journey towards self-improvement, and happiness is what you make of it in the moment. It's not some far off goal. So it doesn't matter where you end up, but it's just the journey towards self-improvement that matters. Maybe the boat will sink and you'll end up alone, but you'll have been happy that you had the boat at all. So this is to say, maybe you'll lose the friendship, but you'll be grateful for the fact that you had it in the first place, because you wouldn't have gotten as far as you did without it. You were a stranger to the stranger. Maybe in time the boat will forget its journey across the river, but you will not. So this is to say that maybe to this other person, then uh, this experience wasn't as impactful, but you'll never forget their part in your journey towards self improvement. The boat has seen oceans of which you have not, but you've seen mountains of which it has not. So this is essentially just saying that you go into the friendship with different perspectives. Um, like you walking on the land for a while, you've seen all these mountains and all these beautiful things, but the boat, you haven't had a boat before, so you haven't seen the vast oceans and everything like that. All you've seen is these rivers. So it's just saying that everybody has a different perspective. You're ready, it's time. You nod in unison and turn around for good, which is a reference to the other line that I said before, where you're moving on. Um, and uh, the last line, I killed myself today, which, if you haven't figured it out, means I made peace with myself. And that's the poem. Don't know if any of you are still listening, but yeah. So that's the poem. And that's probably one of my favorites that I've written. I like it a lot because I think it's just a testament to my journey and my progress and the way I can view it now. Instead of viewing it through the lens of fear, I can view it through a lens of growth. So, yeah. Um, it says there's people here, but that was amazing. Love your writing style. Thank you. I was gonna say, I don't know if anybody's still listening or not, or if I'm just talking to myself. Um, but yeah, I like that poem, and I think it's actually kind of funny. Well, not funny, but it's just strange looking back at this because I wrote it in December, which was a couple months after I had met this person, because this is based off of a real person. And we did end up cutting off the friendship just earlier this month, actually. Um, and that's why just reading that stanza, it's like I predicted that that was going to happen. That maybe the boat will sink and you'll end up alone. Blah blah blah. You're ready. It's time you nod in unison and turn around for good. That's just, it's crazy that, like, I didn't think that the friendship was going to end or anything. I didn't see that coming at all. But I think it was just kind of weird that I almost predicted that that was going to happen, or I expected that that was going to happen. But I don't know. Um, yeah, so those are the poems. Um, I wrote another one, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory, so I don't think I really need to analyze it. Um, and if you want to hear that other one, it's called "Get Out of My Head," and it's in a previous video that I made. There's a whispered version and there's a soft-spoken version, where I read all of these poems. So, yeah. Um, I guess that was pretty comprehensive, but if you have any questions, um, you can go ahead and put them in the chat. Um, if any of y'all are still here, I talked about that longer than I thought I was going to. Um, but I liked it. It was cathartic. So, yeah. Um, guess I don't really have anything else. Um, how are you all doing? You can hear the birds outside. They're cheeping. All right, see ya. Bye. Um, yeah, I guess with that, I'll probably end the stream since it doesn't seem like anybody else has any other questions. Um, thank you for being here. This was nice. Yeah, hope you have a good night, afternoon, morning, midday, whatever time it may be, evening, not sure. But yeah, thanks for joining. And if you want to listen to any of these poems again, you can either rewatch the stream or I made a video explicitly with just these poems, so you can go and listen to those. I'm going to go script write. And then I'll probably post a video either later tonight or tomorrow. But yeah, hope you all enjoyed, and I will, in quotes, see you later. Bye.